It's so lovely to be here on this beautiful spring day. So today is Sarah Burns and the Invisibles weekly Q&A every Wednesday. And I wanted to focus today on Hawaii, on Big Island, because I have a very deep connection with there. And my daughter was born there, and I spent many years living on that beautiful island and really feeling on a very almost physical level the experiences that are happening right there and the great transformations afoot as the lava is coursing her way to the ocean. So before getting into any of that, I'm just going to welcome you in a way of setting the intention that whatever comes up today is here for the greatest good of all beings. It's here to support you and your work and your offerings to yourself, to your community, to the planet, to your family, and vice versa. And if anything comes up that feels like you're not quite ready to digest it, or you want to sit on it, or maybe even save it for another time, you're welcome to do that. So know that if an answer comes forth, it's really up to you to use it with your own discernment. And all of these are recorded. So if you just keep track of the minute that your answer, I was answering you, and then you can always return to this. And we are on episode 46, I believe. That's 46 weeks in a row with missed one so far. So I'm so glad you're all here. So I'm just going to ring this bell and just acknowledging the great beneath, all the presences and energies of the planet, of the earth, of the fortifying substance that builds and forms and destroys itself upon itself, that great earth. And then acknowledging the presence of the beyond, the great beyond, the expansiveness, the celestial realms, the angelic realms, the unseen ones, the spirit guides, the allies, the ancestors, the greater perspective that shows us just how we are woven within something beyond us. So we acknowledge and we bring you into this gathering. And then, of course, the within, the great within, honoring the within each of you, knowing that your stories, your memories, your experiences, your prayers, what you're holding dear to you and what you're seeking to release is equally as important in this great marriage of all of these parts of ourselves. So I'm going to ring the bell and bring us into presence, and then I'm going to get to my Hawaii question and then further questions on the thread. Let's see who's here so far. We've got Katie and maybe somebody else. Hello, so glad you made it. All right, so this first question is, we're going to be asking the Invisibles if they have any guidance, observations, insight, clarification on how to support. We've got Catherine. Hello, Catherine. On how to, for three directions. I want to get to the planetary aspect. So what is this lava flow on a planetary level? If there's any guidance around being able to understand what's creating and what's happening. And then on a humanity level, how is this great effect in Puna, which is clearly making a huge shift in the community down there as it's ripping through Leilani. And if there's any guidance or support for the community. And let's go. We underestimate the power of change sometimes, because change wears many suits. Sometimes to change is as simple as rearranging your hat in a different direction. Sometimes to change may be putting on a coat to keep warm. But with the earth, her changes, just as the changes we may make, can be subtle to massive. The change from puberty, from childhood to puberty, that is not a delicate change. And so when we look into what's happening on that island of Hawaii, when we see and smell the air and the smoke, the gases, what we see is an opportunity for transformation that is preparing the earth for what she needs to grow into. That sometimes these transformations, though they may devastate what is upon the earth, to know that if the earth is moving and tracing this path of a fresh start, it's because there's a wilding that's necessary. There is a restoring to that blueprint, that canvas. Because the earth needs more canvas. It's very easy for humans to paint all over the blank canvas. Even if the paintings are beautiful, which brings us to the humanity. That those paintings, that those expressions of creativity, that those fruit trees, that those gardens, those places where the community gathers, even the beauty of that still may not take into account that a new foundation is being laid. And it may take time to build from that foundation to where the momentum is in place as it has been. But with all that you know, and with all that's been experienced, with all that's transpired in Puna, those who remain will honor where that new balance point in, where that new foundation is needed to be laid. Because there were flaws. In how humans were painting on that earth. Thank you. So that was a little bit about Hawaii. Beautiful. Blessings to all you. If there's any ohana out there that are amidst the change. And I'm just going to scroll down. I hope you all like my new wings. I'm very excited about them. I got them at a clothing swap yesterday. So I'm going to scroll down. So for anyone popping on, this is an opportunity to ask a question to the Invisibles and me. And they're a group of spirit mentors that I've been working with since I was a little girl. And you can ask a question for yourself, the planet, or humanity. So I'm going to scroll down. And if you have a private question, it seems like there's a small enough group that if you have a private question, you can send that to me via my Facebook message through Sarah Burns and the Invisibles, or if you're a friend of mine. And if for whatever reason I'm not seeing it, you're welcome to kind of nudge me with some sort of symbol or something on the thread, that maybe like a mailbox symbol, or you can say, check your mailbox. And I won't put your name to the question. So the first question we have, oh my gosh, we don't even have a first question. So, is anyone that is watching? Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. I think we're almost on the new moon. It's very close, if not today. So, starting fresh, we're coming into the Taurus new moon. So, it's a great time of building and creating foundations. So, while I'm waiting for questions, I'm going to check my inbox and then I can just keep asking questions. So let's see. It takes me a little moment. And the other thing I'm noticing is that if I've shared this video, it's a lot easier if you post your question through the BeLive. Hello, welcome. So we have a question from Christy. So Christy says, "Hi, Sarah. It's been a long time. How are you? I've been stuck in between realms for a few weeks and struggling to move forward. Do the Invisibles have any insight on what's going on and how to move forward in a way that is in my highest and best interest?" Okay. It's interesting that the first thing that I saw was like, I heard them say like, close the door. But it was like kind of this feeling of like knowing potentially if it's time to just close some, I don't know what the door they're talking about is, if it's either quite clear like close the door, put yourself in your own space and be with yourself, or if it's something potentially some doors or some things that you've had open. Whoa, what is happening? Some things that you've had open. Let's see what else I have to say. Sorry, I don't know what that. Okay, there we go. There is something lodged. And that can happen when you feel that there isn't necessarily the kind of obvious momentum in your life. Almost that limbo, that in-betweens. That feeling between the prayer and the resolution of the prayer, right? Because it's times in our life where it's not appropriate to keep manifesting, to keep desiring to create. There is a time when those creations and those manifestations have been set out like seeds to the wind. And what you need to do is just be available to tend to them when they start growing. Sometimes it's that in-between time. Just like that time in pregnancy where the fetus is so small that to the world, it can be hard to see that it's growing. For any mothers, perhaps you understand that moment of to continue to remind yourself that you have life growing in you. And why we're saying this is that even with the doors that we're saying, shut these doors, is that this pause that's happening is helping you recalibrate for a speeding up. So, shall we say, in mid-July, August, late August, 22nd of August. Because in that time, there will be an acceleration of growth in what you have sown. There's also two different parts of your life that are growing, but we want you to address them. Something connected with your business and something connected with the friendship. Address what is lingering that perhaps is taking your attention, but isn't necessary for you to focus on. Not that it's the whole capacity of your focus, but that once these seeds start coming, once your attentiveness is fully needed, you have to make sure that any distractions whether they're desires for outcomes, or wanting something to look a different way than it does. You need to rest.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Phew. All right. So it's for Christy, my dear. Thanks for reaching out. Oh my gosh. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can find a question. There was a private question that came through. So just let me have a moment here. Where are you all calling from? I had a beautiful client today in France, which is amazing. I'm looking for this question. I'm out here in South Spring Island, BC, and we've got the magnolias blooming and our kales are going to flower. It's so very beautiful. All right, where is this question? Sorry, my internet can be a little slow. And so for anyone too that's popping on, feel free to put a question. Dun, 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 dun. I know someone asked me a question. I can do it. Okay, well, that's loading. Let's see. And hello, everyone. So we've got Live, Love, Laugh, which I love your name. We've got Katie. We've got Sky. We've got Tiffany, Catherine. And I'm pretty sure I have this private message from one of you that I saw. So just be patient because you're next. And then we will get on with the order they've arrived. Are any of you guys in Hawaii right now that's watching? Because I really was hoping to have some Hawaii friends pop on and support any of that journey, that internal journey and this big change that's occurring over there right now as we speak, as those fissures are popping open. So this is taking a very long time trying to load. So I'm just going to get to the next question. Oh, there it is. Okay. Perfect. Dun, 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 here we go. All right. So the question says, this is a private question. It says, I'm wanting to know if I should continue my education at my current institution. Like, is it the right choice for my path? Okay. First, there's something missing. You know that. You taste that. It's like the palate trying a bowl of soup or a pot of soup, trying to find what is that ingredient. It's going to make it pop. It's going to round the flavors out. Right? And so in this journey of creating this masterpiece of a life, which hopefully is what all of you are choosing to create, phenomenal lives for yourself, for those in your world, for those that you connect with, these phenomenal experiences. And so we understand that as you're in this institution that you're talking about, there are ingredients that are not there. One of the things we're seeing is almost this relationship to the divine, but in a way that breathes itself into the organism of teaching that's happening. Because there are cycles and rhythms to everything that is created. And when you choose to connect into an organization, you are acknowledging that you are within the cycle and the rhythm that has been seeded and created from there. That you are feeding in and supporting that, and it is supporting you. Something that we're noticing, though, is that it feels like perhaps there's a lack of, almost not control, but it's like a desire to control your environment to appeal to some of your students' needs. And why we're noticing this is that in some ways, if there was more capacity, if you felt more that you were able to, and even if you do experience a sense of feeling heard, feeling that your requests are received, there's still this aspect of teaching and sharing that's missing. And it's up to you to understand, are you in a place to start pioneering that within this organization? Is that possible? Because even though you could stay there for some time, there's part of you that requires to allow yourself to evolve, to grow and expand. Truly, because that is the gift that you can give to all those that you're supporting. And so in this growth and expansion, you need to enter into a state of transparency with yourself, with those that you're working with. Not necessarily that anything drastic, but are you welcome to expand and evolve in the way that you are naturally expanding and evolving in alignment with your purpose? And so the prayer that we have for you, and this is an affirmation you can start saying, I expand and evolve within the alignment, in alignment with my divine birthright purpose. All of the circumstances and situations in my life are a direct reflection of this growth. I trust in my capacity to express the needs involved in this growth process and to honor what's needed of me to support this evolution for the highest and best good in the highest and best way. Thank you. All right, so that was for an anonymous person. You know exactly who you are. And so moving on, hello everyone. Hello you popping on either for the first time or maybe you've come multiple times. So the second question we've got is from Sky. All right, so we've got Sky Sacombe. Are you here still, Sky? This guy's asking, am I in the right relationship? Are you here, Sky? Sky, are you here? I am moving on to the next question. And if you pop back on, Sky, please tell me you're here. All right, so, oh, there you are. Perfect. I saw you have a little baby in your picture, and I know sometimes it can just be in between mama moments. Okay, here we go. So this is for you, my dear. So are you in the right relationship? Are you in the right relationship with your relationship? Let's see. No, in some ways. But the no is not necessarily because what you're that you're doing things wrong. It's in some ways because you're doing things too right. That there is a design or a way that you're going about this relationship, whether it's to please, to benefit the other, but in a way that is not creating space for these deeper needs to be met within yourself. That may not appear to be right, that may not appear to be desirable, beautiful, sexy, right? But that these needs and being able to structure your relationship in a way that the deepening of these levels of transparency actually fortify what's happening. So we're curious, what happened last August, perhaps? Maybe August to November? Because there's something that, oh, they're kind of popping out. It's like, they're saying that there's something that happened that's almost like, I'm pretty sure it was last year, unless there's another year that seems clearly obvious, but there's something about, like, they're calling it the lodged beliefs. And so I like to think of, beliefs in our lives, they rule the universe, but they also can get lodged in different parts of us and at different times in our life. So when we have these experiences, we can create these beliefs, and beliefs can seem impenetrable. They can seem like force fields, and it's up to us to understand, is that belief actually serving us, or is that belief hindering our capacity to call in what we desire, what we truly need in this planet? And so what they're talking about is there's some lodged belief, and I don't know if anything is kind of coming to mind, but it's like it's a belief that happened around. It's as obvious, clear as like you needing to be in a relationship to feel fulfilled. And mind you, I do appreciate. I'm a married woman, so I very much appreciate being in a relationship and finding the level of evolution that has come from that. I love it. But there's something in this, and why they're bringing this up is it's like this feeling that in order to truly be fulfilled, in order to truly have that sense of accomplishment in your life at the end of, your last breath, is to acknowledge that there are many aspects of who you are and who make up you, Sky, and each and every one of us, that there's these different limbs of our personality. And the more we can focus on nurturing the needs of the different parts of ourselves, the more at the end of our lives, we can realize how nurturing these parts of ourselves actually created relationships and brought the people into our lives that were more fulfilling in the way that they were capable of connecting with more parts of who we are, and thus us connecting with more parts of who we are. So the question I have for you is, in this relationship, is what are the parts, or what is the belief that you might have around this fulfillment that's needed, and at what cost, right? At what cost are you paying to try to feed or transform that belief through being in the relationship? Because they really are trying to focus on, and maybe this is not true, believe it, receive it, leave it, or lend it. If anything I'm saying is not resonating, then I 100% encourage you to stick with what does. But if it's tickling parts of you that need to be awakened more, to focus on, is there any way that you can create more space for these other limbs of who you are that aren't necessarily like the feelings of rightness, like these ickier, these deeper parts, these wounded parts, these self-sabotaging parts, how to create space. And that's kind of the test, if you feel like that can happen. All right, thank you. So, moving on. So we got Katie next. Katie, my dear, Katie Barrington, are you here? While I'm waiting for you to respond, let's see who else popped down. We got Victoria, Sky, Christian. Wonderful. And probably some other people that haven't posted. So Katie, my dear, are you here? Sure am. Wonderful. I kind of feel like doing a little. Oh, you're so welcome, Sky. I'm just going to ring this bell and bring us into the next passage of this teachings today. I want to thank my husband for he fixed our roof. So our roof was so old and dirty that I couldn't hardly see. You could hardly see me when I was doing these. So I have a nice bright room again. So Katie, here we go. I'm wondering if there's any advice or strengthening energy you can send my way. My marriage has failed and I have no desire to fix it and I want to be free, but we are expecting some big financial changes to come our way. He knows I want to leave him but doesn't think I am serious. It's leaving me depleted and filled with darkness and negativity. It's affecting many aspects of my life and the relationships around me. Sounds like you are a bit stuck. All right. Okay. Oh, the heart and the logic, right? The heart and the knowing and the truth says one thing, and then the patience and time and logic and the right circumstances, it's what a pull, right? I'm sure many of you have experienced those times in life where the soul, I believe, the soul is quick. The soul knows what it wants. It's honest. It's truthful. It has a direction. Its alarms go off. But then honoring that the soul happens to be in this beautiful body, and this body comes with the laws of the earth, and the laws of humanity. Things move slower, and these changes that happen within us. And everyone in their input, yes, yeah, and these changes that happen within us don't always, happen overnight. It makes me think of how our body actually takes 7 years for all the cells to completely renew themselves. And hello, Eleanor. And in these times, sometimes with these relationships, it's like the soul's like already renewed. The soul's like, I am a new being. I am not in this, my contract is complete, but perhaps it's not. So let's see what they have to say, my dear. Just support you in this, where you're at right now, because we want all the beings, we want as many beings on this planet to be in their vitality and living their truth and their purpose and following that divine yes. And it's clear that when choices are created around following a divine, or not even divine, just following that later, when this life is waiting for me across the glass, So let's see what they have to say. So I'm hearing the word like Santiago or something. I don't know. Don't leave behind what you already know about yourself, okay? Who you have become and who you're becoming in this relationship. Now that's the gift. You feeling and knowing and changing that compass, changing yourself to realign with your internal compass. Where were you creating decisions from to get yourself in this relationship? Who were you that chose that yes as a compass to navigate your life? And how can you honor that you are not her anymore. That whatever has transpired has reunited you with a sense of knowing. Enough is enough. The stagnation cannot linger. We're even seeing something with July. There's something happening in July that could really boost the momentum. But in order to get out of this cycle, you need to understand, is it worth what's happening to you on a neurological level to wait? Who are you becoming in this waiting period? Who do you see yourself as? And then who you're becoming in this waiting period. How do they grow into who they need to be? So one of the encouragements that we have for you is to write. Oh, they're kind of popping out. It's like I'm seeing this image of you actually, I don't know if you're into writing, but I'm seeing this image of you creating maybe like a short story or something and playing with the theme of your life, but in kind of this superhero way, like creating that main character as, and I mean, if you're not a writer, maybe you want to make a song but it feels like writing would be very, would really help you move through this. And so in this writing of this story, writing yourself as who creating your own alias and giving yourself some of the tools along the way. So perhaps if it's the tool of courage that you need, and then perhaps along the way you meet a character, right? And that you meet these characters that teach you about these courages, right? Or teach you and give you these tools. And that in this story writing, you're actually allowing yourself to step into what would it feel like, how to imagine yourself if you had more tools available around you, more skills, more connections, kind of like that journey, that hero's journey, right? And how, because what they're saying is it feels like there's like almost this like limitation on your capacity to understand just what kind of support is around you, and to get clear of like, I feel like not meddling too much in your decision. But there was somebody that came to me once with a powerful teaching, and this teaching was she had somebody that owed her a lot of money. It was an ex-lover or husband or something, and they had this huge amount of debt that this person owed them. It was like thousands of dollars, and they were carrying that for a long time. Like, okay, like when this money comes, then we'll fully be clear. And one day I was with her and she realized, she's like, every day that I wait for this person to own up and, this money to arrive, it's actually depleting me, right? This like feeling that I felt like she was stuck in the past, like having to just like wait until this was cleared. And she had this powerful moment where she realized that what that was doing to her on an energetic level and on a physical level, because she was getting ill, just had like with all this money that wasn't arriving, was that to actually just like just stop, just end that contract. And so what she did, she was like, you know what? I need all this money. But if that is the offering, right? Katie says, it's like, it's not worth it. If all that money is what it's going to cost on a karmic level. Oh, you like my background? I love it too. It's new. If that money is what it's going to cost to clear that karmic debt, then she's just like, screw it. I'm just going to do that if that's what it costs, right? And she did it, and she like just cleared it, and she's like, you don't owe me a penny, we are done, and just like washed her hands of that. And it was so powerful because I was there to support her during these moments, to notice what happened to her on an energetic level when she realized that all that money wasn't worth what was happening to her body, it wasn't worth what was happening to her soul and what she was starting to believe about herself, right? And it was so powerful to watch that, and to just watch that step into trust, right? That you're supported, you are taken care of by something beyond what you know is coming, right? And I've found that every time I step towards what I know is important, even if it's daring and daunting, I'm completely taken care of, right? That commitment to our path, that commitment to our yes and our thriving nature, that's the most valuable. You know, that essence is what brings experiences to us that reflect that abundance, friendships that reflect that abundance. You know, all these things come as we refine and get really clear with what is worth our time and what's not. If something's draining, then you need to acknowledge, are you ready to commit to trusting that you'll be supported to move through that instead of holding on to? So that's a little bit of my pep talk. And so, not to say that it is easy. I mean, if you don't have any kids involved, it's easier. But, and so thank you for your question. I love her. So, passing, we've got live, love, laugh. Live, love, laugh. Are you still here? Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, Katie. Katie says, it was helpful and profound and is something I need to do. You got this. You got this. Remember, it's so not worth it, right? Just remember, you're a queen, right? The universe wants to conspire to support you, but you have to make that step to prove to the universe that you are willing to commit to that, being available for that. So, moving on. It looks like Live, Love, Laugh is here. So we are going to get to your question. So Live, Love, Laugh says, I need to know if my aunt is okay. I miss her every day. She passed 2 years ago. I haven't dreamed of her or anything. I need to know if she's okay. I feel myself going back into this depression and need some type of guidance. Anything. There's something I'm trying to understand. Is it her or your back? Do you have anything going on with your back? Are you holding anything in your back? Would she have anything in her back? Feels like there's something going on in the back, but all right. So let's see. This is for you, Live, Love, Laugh. I'm just post this for a second. Okay. So you need to let go of the hardships that may have faced her as well. Because what's happening is there is something happening in your spinal cord, okay? And the spinal cord is what supports us. Without that support, all these other ways of expression can collapse. And so we see that this aunt, in some way, was like that spinal cord that was supporting, that was holding things together, something anchor you. And so you need to find that spinal cord. You need to find that strength. And if it's something that you even want to ask your aunt for support, because we feel, oh, they're kind of popping out. It's like they're showing me, I'm seeing like all these, I think they're called marigolds, like these like bright orange flowers. And it feels like that's kind of like a message from her, like these. But the marigold, in my knowing as a plant enthusiast, the marigold is really also good at warding away pests, except for slugs. I just ate all my marigolds. And there's something in the marigold that actually is like this, this great supporter in protection and protecting the crops. And so why I'm trying, let me tie this together. It's like this image I'm seeing with this marigold, these like bright marigolds, is it feels like there's like this vulnerability that you've been experiencing that's actually like almost created possibly. Oh, she loves flowers. Yeah, it's like these bright oranges. But this possibly this vulnerability that's been happening, and maybe your energy has actually been more. I don't want to say leaky, but it feels like there needs to be some fortifying on your energetic field. So with the marigolds too, it's like they represent like something that prevents pests from coming in because they don't want to come in. And so I'm wondering if during these times of depression too, so what can happen, this is just a little energetic hygiene 101. So what can happen is that during times of depression, during times of extreme tragic loss, trauma, we can have these experiences where our auric field almost like there can be almost leaks in them, or parts of us almost leave the body. So parts of our soul can kind of like, yeah, like to say leave the building for a bit because it's just too much. And then in that time of leaving, this is where soul retrievals come in. That's a bit of the work I do. Is in that time of leaving, there can be kind of these like almost like leaks. So if you think of your auric field as, if you think of the ozone layer, right? That we also, I believe, have our own like somewhat ozone layer, which is our auric field. And that if the ozone layer gets, holes in it, right? That allows in the sun rays, when it thins out, it can really hurt the planet. And so what I'm seeing is that there's something about needing to fortify your auric field that is bringing in depression, even though the depression is like what they're kind of showing me is the depression is also a result of having like almost having this vulnerability and being like possibly, I don't know if it's like taking on, I don't know if you're taking on, if you're an empath and you're just taking on more, but it feels like as much as it's coming from within you that you're also picking up on other energies, and so finding way and possibly misinterpreting them as your own. And if that doesn't resonate, then you don't need to take that in. But that's a bit of what I feel, is that some of it is yours and then some of it is you being an empath. and so in order to get clear with what is really your responsibility, because as empaths, it's important for us to step into, is it my responsibility to help support this change and shift this, or is this somebody else's responsibility? And the other thing is, am I in a place to support transformation for other people? So something I could encourage for you is, well, first, it'd be amazing to get a bunch of marigolds. I don't know if you have that, and make a lei. That's kind of this image I'm seeing in the theme of Hawaii, which is today. So I don't know if do you have marigolds grow around you where you live? Where do you live? Where are you coming from? Because this image I'm seeing as a homework project, and maybe it doesn't have to happen soon, it can happen when marigolds are in season, or you could grow some marigolds, is creating. I mean, firstly, if you want to grow them, that would be amazing. And you could grow them for, I don't know if you have land or space that you could grow even like a potted plant, if you have a home, but New York. So more like potted plant. Do you have in the Bronx? Do you have a place that you could like? Do you have a balcony, or do you have a place that you could grow a little plant at all? I mean, it could even be inside, though outside would be ideal. Because this image I'm having is to grow some flowers for her. And I mean, I'm really feeling marigolds. But if there's some other flower that you really associate with her, is maybe growing some flowers, and that those flowers can be in honor of her, but they can also be an opportunity. I can grow it. I think I will in my backyard. Wonderful. And and so these flowers can also be an opportunity for her to also communicate with you if that's something you choose. And so this is a teaching a friend of mine taught me, where she actually had different plants in her house that represented different people in her life. And so I had one, and she always knew, because I was a traveler for many years, and she always knew when I was about to return, because my plant would start blooming, and I wouldn't tell people when I was returning. And she's like, "Oh, Sarah's coming. Her plant's blooming." And so it could be something to experiment. Like perhaps your aunt could also communicate with you through the plant. So, or it could be a place that if you are, you could have if you have a little picture of her that she loved every flower possible. Wonderful. You're going to do it. Yeah. And that it could also be a place that you can like sit and be with, and like kind of hold space if there's anything, if you are wanting feel her. And it feels like the flowers are going to in some ways be a way that her spirit can bring that color and that joy into your life, and in that way. And you could also do it as a place to kind of sit and just meditate, or have that feeling of her presence. So that's a little idea. I'd love to see pictures one day when they're in bloom. So blessings to you. So moving on. Yeah, Victoria. Who else we got? Eleanor. All right. So the next, because I'm at home today, I think we actually can do everyone's question. And then you're so welcome. So the next question is Lisa. Are there any messages from my dad? He passed 8 years ago and I miss him every day. Wonderful. Well, not wonder. I was saying that to live, love, laugh. Lisa, my dear, are you here? Are you here still? Lisa Gilly Grosh. Is there a Lisa? Oh, it's good to see you. You're a little crow, at least today, Donnie. Lisa, are you here, my dear? Lisa Gilly Grosh. If you are here, it is your turn. And if you are not here, I will move on. Lisa! All right, I am moving on unless you pop up before. So, oh, aha, there you are. So Lisa, this is for you. On the theme of those who have passed, Lisa says, are there any messages from my dad? He passed 8 years ago and I miss him every day. All right. It's funny, I'm like, the first thing I saw was, I heard like the golden compass, and I was like thinking of this compass that represents direction maybe, but then I was like, or the golden compass, which is a really good book if you're into kids books. And they also have a movie series by Philip Pullman. So let's see. This was kind of the first image I had. Could you give me his name? Do you feel comfortable offering his name? Just so it can be a little, if you don't feel comfortable offering his name, that's totally fine. Okay. Let's see. Wondering is not what's going to get you to the sun. Okay. That's not the question or the way of going about what's happening. Expanding into a greater knowing can be helpful for you right now. What we're seeing is that he's been enabling you in some ways in connection to this deep loss, but that's not something that he wants to be enabling you, to be or represent that. There's something about, like, I don't know, some sport. Did he play anything? I don't know if it's like squash or golf or something with like, was he like something that it feels like, I don't know, something you would hit maybe? Because I'm trying to understand. It's like the image I saw was some sort of, yeah, like some sort of, and I'm not sure if it's, I'm just waiting for you to respond. Is there any connection to him with something like either, I'm trying to understand why he's showing me this. Or maybe he wants you to get into some sort of sport. I'm not quite sure. You there, Lisa? No, okay. Yeah, I'm trying to understand why. It's like I'm seeing, like, I don't know if it could be, or canoeing. It's like this motion. So it's either like something like, anyways, let's see if there's any more. There's a sense of closure that only comes when the energy that's been going towards something has a new outlet. But closure is not the same as forgetting. Closure isn't the same as disengaging from the loss. That's what we're noticing. And so part of this message is finding something that can help you find a sense of closure. Specifically, there's kind of popping out. It's like I was seeing two parts. I was seeing, like, in my mind I'm hearing left elbow, but in my arm I'm hearing like right arm. There's something about the elbow, but and then there's something like, I don't know if it's in the lower. I'm not quite sure. But finding like this, and that's why I'm wondering if this image I'm seeing of like some sort of, it's like you could feel into what would actually make sense, but it's like he's showing me something that's like, it has a stick. Like that's kind of like what I see, like part of what I'm seeing. The image is like holding on something with a stick that's like has this swinging motion. That could be really supportive. I don't know. I guess I could brainstorm like tennis, squash, golf, kayaking, canoeing, baseball, badminton. But it almost feels like there's maybe something that could be, and even if you're not a sports person necessarily, there's something that could possibly be helpful in getting into your body and getting into some sort of movement like that has that feeling of impact. Definitely not what I was seeing coming. And to know that it's like more that the feeling, that the message and the feeling is more that this closure will come as you're able to find something else that you can put that energy towards. But that doesn't mean that there won't be, you can still have sadness around it, but that there's a sense of closure that still hasn't been fully embodied yet, if that makes sense. And that it's okay to be open to that sense of closure, that sense of closure is actually very supportive of you being able to move forward and you being able to have more energy available for you. And even if that sense of closure is acknowledging that, you know, the presence and the focus and the love is still around, but that you need to be able to focus more on the living world in order to, you know, be here in your purpose. If that's important, then to explore that avenue and maybe get into some sort of sport. All right, thank you. Must be interesting, just on a side note, to see if any of his, like your father's line was into like any of that sport. I'm curious what it is. Like, you could, maybe there's something in your line about some sort of sport that wants to come through you. All right, so moving on. So just to give you guys all an idea, everyone that's here, because I need to pick my daughter up today from the bus, the questions that I will be able to get to, it's 3:38, for probably another like 15 minutes. So I will be able to get to the question. You're welcome, Lisa. Blessings. Blessings on all of that. We've got Eleanor. Eleanor, my dear, are you here? Eleanor, Eleanor, are you here? You are next. So while I'm waiting for Eleanor to respond, we have Eleanor and then Beth. Oh, Eleanor's here. Wonderful. We've got Eleanor, Beth next. Or wait, I think there was someone before, actually. Let's see. Oh, we've got Christian. Hello, Eleanor. You know what? Actually, Christian is next. Sorry about that. Takes me a little bit. So we have Christian and then Eleanor. All right. So Christian, are you here? And we got Christian, Eleanor, and then Beth. You are wonderful. Hello. All right. So Christian says, I have a question today. Something weird happened. I seen a sign and it's like my little cousin was talking to me saying hello. She was 14 when she passed. Was it real or was it in my head? If you can help me with this, it would be great. I was having no car. I was having a car. Oh. And I was having, sorry, I'm trying to read having a car, talking with her. My first feeling is yes, you were communicating with her. I'm wondering now that that she's communicated a conversation. Oh, okay. Sorry. Not a car novo. I was like, car novo. What were some of the things you were talking about? If you're open to getting into that. Because for me, it's definitely, there's nothing weird or out of place if you're speaking with, if deceased ones come through. It does make me wonder though if there's still some lingering undealt with ties that maybe she has in this life, if she's been communicating possibly. And I'm wondering if were you communicating at all about that? Like how did she feel in your conversation? Because sometimes when souls come and converse with us, I like to also examine, is it also because they are needing support moving on, or are they coming as messengers from more of like almost like angelic guides or support? Because there's different directions that the souls, or where the souls can live depending on their journey of completion in this life. I felt her, then I said, sweetie, I love you, how are you? Mm-hmm. Because I'm wondering, I'm going to ask the invisibles too, but we're kind of talking right now. I'm wondering if she needs, oh, I just saw a little hummingbird. I don't know if that means anything to you. There's like this little hummingbird sitting on a grapevine. And that I love you a lot and everyone else loves you. Yeah. It just, I don't know if this is, you don't have to answer this, but did she take her life, or was it an accident? Because my feeling is, I want to get into, does she actually need some support fully transitioning? Because it feels like her soul could definitely be born again. Oh, Cancer. Okay. Yeah, it feels, let's see what we have to, if there's any messages here. We're listening. We're listening to the stories that have happened, and we're listening to the stories that have not happened. That when souls die young, it can be for many reasons. But one of the things we see is that there's a maturity of her soul that didn't know how to cope with the life that was here. That her body wasn't able to meet the expectations of life for her soul. And so in that though, what needs to be spoken is, can you support reminding her soul why it could be beautiful to reincarnate? Oh, they're kind of popping out. So this image I'm seeing is that, so sometimes when souls die through, suffering, when suffering is the root of, and maybe not, maybe she didn't die through suffering, but I'm just guessing there was some pain, even if it was drugged, trying to drug out the pain. But what can happen is that, especially if it's a younger soul coming into this life, if they've died of suffering, right? If they've died in certain ways, it can, coming back and reincarnating. So for anyone that's not aware of that concept, reincarnation is the idea that the soul wears these bodies. And then when it dies, the soul gets to be born again into another body. And I strongly believe in reincarnation from a lot of synchronicities that have happened. And so that being said, the feeling I'm getting is it feels like you could offer her some more reassurance. So offer her more reassurance if that's true for you about this world and about this life and about the beauty that can be had and about the joy. And because it feels like she could reincarnate even into your family's line potentially in the next 2 to 3 years or 2 to 3 months. I think it's maybe 2 to 3 years. But she needs some reassurance that this is a beautiful world that she can have. And I know that it doesn't feel like anyone is in, who has the right to reassure anyone that their life is going to be amazing, because it might not in its own way, but reassuring like that the lessons that can be experienced can also be gentle. And that is a prayer that I've learned, is to learn the easy way, to learn the graceful way. Now I've changed that because I like a little more complexity, but I started realizing that, can I tell her to go to heaven? For sure. Yeah. Yeah. And that if you want to support wherever you feel comfortable sending her, it feels like she needs a place that can support her, that she feels is going to be beautiful, right? Because it feels like what I'm feeling is there's like a little bit of not fully sure of which direction. So if you could, yeah, even, I've had a friend had a powerful experience where she came upon actually a dead person in the forest, and their soul was stuck. Like, she actually saw this ghost and he didn't know what to do. And she realized, she's like, okay, I don't really know either, but she's like, do you see a light? Right? And he's like, yes, I see a light. And she's like, just go towards this light. It was as simple as that. And she's like, I've heard of people seeing lights. She said, go towards this light. And sure enough, she was able to guide this ghost towards the light, because for him, though, in his life, he hadn't created a belief structure around life after death. So he didn't believe that anything happened. It was kind of like you live and then it's done, right? And so she realized that it was a big teaching that if people, and this is a hypothesis, but that if you have created a lifestyle or beliefs around that there is nothing beyond life, then what happens when the soul leaves the body? It gets confused because the pathways aren't clear. Not to say that that was her situation, but maybe it was. And so I support you in just even, guiding her. If there's a light, if there's just supporting her and calling forth even more angelic support, angelic angels to come and just guide her and guide her soul to where she can be loved and safe and transition fully. So that's my feeling. Maybe light a candle for her while you're doing that. All right, thank you. So you'll do that tonight. Wonderful. You got this. She's ready, right? I believe that once they start coming to, a lot of the time, if they're not just delivering messages, she's ready. Oh, thank you for putting that question out. I really appreciate it. And blessings to her on her journey towards the light, on her journey into the next incarnation path. All right, so Eleanor, I have returned. And so, Eleanor, are you still here, my dear? And I'm going to do a quick one, and then I'm going to read Beth. And then, yes, you're here. Wonderful. So I've got 10 minutes. So I'm going to do quick one for you and Beth. All right, if Beth is still here. So Eleanor is here, and Eleanor is saying, I would love some guidance more about myself, my future, I'm just so lost at this point. My whole life is ahead of me, and I'm 18 now. Sorry. So clearing the path is important. Sometimes clearing the path to what you can become, revising paths that you may feel you are obligated to walk, and then choosing consciously if that is truly aligned for you in this life. Because what we're noticing is that there is a sense of expansion and voidness, but also almost like a wall between you and what's possible. Because that what needs to happen to expand and express yourself is creating a path through that wall. There are many ways to do that. But when the soul is ready to be initiated, the soul is ready to be initiated. And initiations are here to help redirect oneself with the path and the courage that it takes to listen to their unique blueprints needs. So for you, we're noticing that there's, it's interesting. I was hearing like Nelson Mandela, like some sort of feeling like this like freedom and this importance to have to like speak your truth and have like and I don't know if this is because you actually embody this already or if you have blocks around your truth or blocks around your voice. I'm just seeing you like using your voice and like I almost see it's interesting. It's like I'm seeing slightly this like I don't know if you're mentoring, but I see like these two different groups of people. Maybe they're kids, I'm not, or like teenagers maybe, and this might not even be yet. This might be down your road, but I'm seeing it's like some that you're. Yes, I feel like I need to speak out. Yeah, like this image I see of you is like your voice and your capacity to. It feels like there's something about your capacity to support bringing clashing ideas together, like bringing these opposing, like finding this place of like not even quite harmony. It doesn't it's but I don't know why I'm seeing it's very clear. It's like there's these two really different, it feels like groups of people, like these two different groups of people, and then you're kind of standing in the middle here. I don't know if this represents something to you in your life as well, but the other aspect that I saw was what is this initiation that you require, right, to grow into yourself? Oh, you're still here, Beth. Wonderful. Great. You're next. And I'm about to get to your question. So, and then that's the last question. I apologize if anyone's popped on and wants to ask a question, but I got to get my little girl from the bus. And so for you, Eleanor, this figuring out, well, what is this initiation that's maybe been something that you have been tasting on the wind? I know for me, my great initiation, though I wouldn't suggest it to just about anyone, but was I left home when I was 16, 17 and hitchhiked across the country and just started like living a wild life and traveling. And I mean, all of this with very little money. Like I think I had $100 or something, and then would live off of like $100 a month or something like that. So I was doing it very minimally. But for me, that journey of just like leaving and going on this travel and trusting and hitchhiking, train hopping, and just paving this pathway for myself that nobody was creating for me was actually what I felt shifted me into who I am now. That if I was to stay where I was and journey down the trajectory that was before me and the friend networks that before me, I would have grown. It would have been nourishing, but it wouldn't have been my most optimal path. And so what I encourage you right now is to feel into, is there any feelings that you've had either to travel somewhere or to, oh my gosh, to travel somewhere or like to take some, I don't know, it feels like some sort of a leap, like some need to like carve a path that feels like not like almost like risky or like not as graceful, or if it's big things that need to be said, that to dedicate yourself to whatever this initiation is, and trusting that if you're feeling it, it's because it's your antidote. It's been recommended to you by life itself. It's your initiation coming, but it feels like there's an initiation coming for you that is going to be really important for where you need to grow into. And so be daring, my dear. Be daring. You got this. Let the universe prove to you that you're supported and who you need to be. All right. Aloha. And so the last question, I'm just doing a quick little answer for Beth. Oh, and so Eleanor says, yes, I feel like I need to do that. My life here is not for me. I'm unsure whether just to leave next year and not go to university, but I do feel like I should leave. I just really need to leave. Yes, you do, you know? And I think that was kind of like this image they were showing me earlier about this carved path. It's like, yes, there's this direction, but like for you, there's another direction that requires you to carve it. I mean, I dropped out of high school and I'm kind of grateful because nothing would have prepared me for my career except for the life that I lived to get here and all the amazing experiences and teachers and things I've explored. All right, so quick little, we got Beth here. So Beth is saying, hi Sarah, a client of mine is having major surgery tomorrow. I'm just wondering whether the Invisible might have any thoughts about that. We can feel into thoughts for you. I generally can't really read people unless we can check in if their higher self has any messages, but in connection to how you could support them, we can do that. So let's see. This is gonna be a quick one because I gotta zoom out for my girl. That's interesting. It's like, first they're like cocaine, coca. There was like something about coca. Maybe that represents also finding if there's, or maybe coca would actually be supportive, which helps with, it is a bit numbing and also gives energy, but not that I want to subscribe that over Facebook Live. Let's see. Not cocaine, coca leaf. Let's get clear here. The main thing that I'm not sure how you work with them, but it feels like there's something connected to their hips and that possibly like, and maybe that would be more of the healing process, but that like, I don't know, it's like I feel like this in this healing process they need to keep like their alignment in a good way. Like I don't know if it's like they're gonna be in order maybe to, I don't know where is their surgery. Oh my gosh, I gotta zoom out in a second. Because there is something, maybe something near their leg too. I don't know. I'm seeing like something about their body that what could affect the healing process is if their body's alignment is, because it feels like there's something that's like a little off. Like, I don't know if they maybe have a little shorter leg. I'm not sure. There's something that I'm seeing that to support maybe their strengthening and stretching and keeping their alignments and using the hips as a reference point for that could be very helpful. I mean, there's different exercises And that might be later because the surgery is so extreme, but helping them keep balance on a physical level. I'm just seeing that. So blessings to that and blessings to you all. And thank you for joining Sarah Burns and the Invisibles. I'm just going to ring this bell and closing our council for today. And I hope you come next week or any other Wednesday. And I look forward to that. I also left a link today. You should check out for large hot chocolate today. So I encourage that. What was I going to say? I got to get out of here. Thank you all. Check out my Patreon page. That's what I was going to say. I have a lot of projects underway, and I've been making this page so I can get some going. All right. Aloha. Have a blessed day or a blessed night wherever you are. Maybe put some coca in the hot chocolate. Oh, I see large cocoa. Coca, that's what it was. Keep it coming. All right. Aloha.